The movie opens with Baron, a kind-hearted yet naive young man from a small town, finding himself behind bars. He discovers that his cellmate, Otis, has a long criminal history, including multiple prison escapes. Desperate to escape, Baron pleads with Otis for help, explaining that he needs to rendezvous with his girlfriend at a secret location the next day. Initially, Otis is hesitant, claiming he doesn't trust anyone, not even himself. However, Baron's offer of $250,000 in cash if they manage to escape successfully sways him. Otis agrees to the prison break, but questions how Baron has such a large sum of money. This prompts Baron to recount the events that led to his imprisonment. Before his arrest, Baron was dismissed from his job at the local post office, a job he needed to care for his terminally ill mother, Ada, due to his refusal to trim his long hair. On returning home, he finds a letter notifying him of an increase in the cost of his mother's medication. He shares this news with her as he administers her pills and feeds her a moon pie. Overwhelmed, he visits a local park where he vents his frustration. A car driven by a quirky stranger with pink hair pulls up. The woman, disappointed to find Baron alive, had initially thought she'd come across a corpse. She inquires if there's anything interesting to do in this dull town, to which he initially responds negatively. However, after she witnesses him venting his frustration on a swing set, he tells her about a few local attractions, including a quarry and an ice cream shop. She introduces herself as Marmalade and asks him to show her around. At the quarry, Marmalade and Baron share their life stories. She reveals her lifelong experience in the foster care system, and he shares about his mother's illness. He also shares his childhood belief that his absent father was an astronaut who died in a rocket explosion. Marmalade, amused by his innocence, asks if she can stay with him for the night. He agrees, and they quickly fall into a passionate romance. With no income, Baron and Marmalade start brainstorming ways to afford Ida's medication. Baron suggests renting out the spare bedroom, but Marmalade proposes they rob a bank instead. They devise a detailed plan, including choosing a less crowded bank in a neighboring town and finding a secluded cabin to use as a hideout. They each get a tattoo on their ankles. Marmalade's is a heart with Baron's name, and Baron's is a jar of marmalade, which was supposed to have her name on the label. However, the tattoo artist misspells it, omitting the R, so they change it to say Mama in honor of Ida. During the planning process, Baron notices some of his mother's pills are missing. He also asks Marmalade about her estrangement from her biological mother. She reluctantly reveals her resentment towards her biological mother for failing to protect her from an abusive foster father who used to lock his foster children in dog cages and torment them with his white cane. She wishes she had killed him when she had the chance, and she mentions that he still fosters children. Baron comforts her, reminding her that she had called him her knight in shining armor and protector. Later, they visit a store to buy disguises for the heist. Marmalade chooses 2 masks, which Baron says they can't afford. However, Marmalade pulls out a gun and assaults the cashier. She tries to rob the cash register but fails to open it, and they flee. Shaken, Baron tells Marmalade that he can sell some baseball cards and they don't need to rob the bank, but she insists they proceed with the plan the next day. That night, Etta has a coughing fit, which Marmalade insists on attending to. When she screams, Baron rushes to help and finds his mother dead in her bed. Marmalade claims ignorance about what happened, saying she left the room and returned to find Ida dead. Back in prison, Otis offers his condolences to a tearful Baron. He shares that his mother has also been sick all his life, and he's unsure if she's still alive. When Baron asks why they don't talk, Otis reveals that his mother lives in her childhood home in Kingston, Jamaica, and their relationship is complicated. Soon after, they are summoned to the prison dining hall, where other inmates target Baron by stealing his food and pushing his face into his tray. Baron tells another inmate that he has something in his braid, which provokes the man to try to hit him. However, Otis intervenes, and a riot ensues in the dining hall. For his part in instigating it, Otis is handcuffed and escorted out of the room by a prison guard. Away from the other inmates, it's revealed that Otis is not a prisoner, but an undercover FBI agent working on a case to catch a serial bank robber believed to be Marmalade. He was assigned as Baron's cellmate in hopes of manipulating him into revealing Marmalade's location so she could be arrested for her crimes. However, since Baron hasn't yet shared the location of their meeting spot, Otis suggests the investigative team allow him to stage a fake escape, leading the FBI directly to her. Despite some officers' hesitation, it's agreed that this plan will be implemented. Otis returns to his and Baron's cell, where Baron continues his story. After his mother's death, Baron tries to back out of the robbery, having only agreed to it to afford her medication. However, Marmalade reveals that she's pregnant and insists they proceed with the plan to secure a better life for themselves and their baby. Baron gives in, though he refuses to go inside the bank and insists on only being the getaway driver. The next day, they execute the heist and retreat to their hideout cabin. Baron is surprised by the amount of money they stole and questions Marmalade about her knowledge of banks and bank robberies. She admits to having robbed several banks in the past, but says those were small amounts. She had planned to quit robbing banks before meeting Baron, but decided to do one last job to start a good life with him. Overwhelmed, Baron leaves the room, but they quickly reconcile when Marmalade approaches him and reminds him that it's just the two of them, and their unborn baby, against the whole wide world. Later, Marmalade requests Baron retrieve the masks from the car for incineration. While doing so, Baron stumbles upon a bottle of his mother's pills concealed in Marmalade's car, leading him to the shocking realization that she was responsible for his mother's death. Overcome with rage, Baron confronts Marmalade with the gun used in the bank robbery, demanding an explanation for the hidden medication. Marmalade defends herself, claiming she kept the pills for emergencies and had forgotten about them. Their heated confrontation is interrupted by the arrival of the police, who surround the cabin. Panicked, Baron suggests they surrender and apologize, but Marmalade persuades him to divide the money, escape, and rendezvous at their favorite spot the next day at 3:30. Baron agrees, Marmalade flees, and Baron surrenders to the police once she's gone. In prison, Otis assures Baron that he will assist him in escaping. Baron makes a phone call, presumably to Marmalade, informing her of their planned meeting at 3:30. The next day, they execute their escape plan, with Otis posing as a laundry worker and Baron hiding in a basket of linens. The plan is to exit the prison under the pretense of transporting dirty laundry, but a guard who is unaware of Otis's true identity stops him. Otis manages to wheel the basket containing Baron outside, but is detained until his FBI colleagues intervene. Baron escapes in the designated getaway car, while Otis and other FBI agents follow him in a separate vehicle. They tail him to a florist, where he buys a bouquet, and then to a cemetery, where he leaves the flowers on what they assume is his mother's grave. They continue to follow him to an ice cream shop, which Otis suspects is the meeting spot with Marmalade, given their shared fondness for ice cream. When the getaway car leaves the parking lot, the FBI gives chase. However, when they finally stop the car, they find the driver is not Baron or Marmalade, but an ice cream shop employee who reveals that Baron had offered him the car in exchange for creating a diversion. Baron has returned to the cabin in a different car, spotted in the ice cream shop's parking lot. He retrieves the bag of money from the chimney, along with newspaper clippings about previous bank robberies, one of which reveals the FBI's role in solving them and features a picture of Otis as one of the agents. Baron then retreats to the bathroom, cuts off his hair, dons a dress and a blonde wig, and successfully evades capture by disguising himself as a woman. Meanwhile, Otis, realizing that Baron is more cunning than he appears, revisits the cemetery to investigate the grave Baron had visited. He discovers that the grave does not belong to Ida and that Baron had left a jar of marmalade labeled Mama, like his tattoo. Otis requests to see the bank's security photos again and realizes that the bank robber has the same tattoo. It is revealed that Marmalade never existed and that Baron, dressed in drag, carried out this and other robberies. Out of town and in a new outfit, Baron enters a pharmacy to pick up a large order of pleonexia, the medication he claimed was keeping his mother alive, under the name Lamram. The pharmacist informs Baron that he has bought out his entire supply, and Baron explains that the medication is for his foster mother. He places a bottle in front of a mirror, revealing that his foster mother's name, Ida Lamram, is Marmalade, spelled backwards. In pursuit of Baron, Otis and his colleagues trace the call he made from prison to a drug production company named Baron Pharmaceuticals, suggesting Baron is a pseudonym, and meet the company's CEO, Don Frankels, who reveals that the money stolen in the bank robbery was from his account. Otis notices that Frankels walks with a white cane and recalls the detail in Baron's story about Marmalade being abused by an early foster father. He asks Frankels if he fosters children, which he confirms, stating he does so to take a bunch of junkie rejects and turn them into something. Otis sends a team of officers to investigate Frankels' home address, where they find 3 dog cages in a garage and a jar of marmalade outside the door. Realizing that this part of the story was true and Baron was likely one of the abused children, Otis has Frankels arrested. He finds a moon pie tucked into the wing mirror of his car and realizes that it is another of Baron's calling cards, indicating that he must have been nearby recently. He goes to the nearby pharmacy, where the pharmacist reveals that Baron had purchased his pills and leaves, saying that he was going to buy tickets from the travel agent around the corner. There, Otis is given an envelope and informed that a man had been in shortly before and purchased tickets on his behalf. Inside the envelope, he finds a note from Baron that reads, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. I'm taking care of my mother. I hope you'll do the same. Farewell, secret agent," as well as a first-class plane ticket to Kingston, Jamaica to visit his mother. Otis smiles, feeling a bit foolish by the boy's smartness. Elsewhere, Baron pulls into a staff parking space at a nursing home. Upon entering, he approaches the front desk and is immediately recognized by the nurse working there, who hands over a clipboard and keys, revealing that he also works there. He goes room to room, distributing medication to the residents, until he reaches the room labeled as Ida's. He also replenishes her medication. then enters the room, where he hands Ida a moon pie, and the two of them stand and look out of the window together. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.